works. And I'll see how we can access that. Any new people that care to share how you found out about the classes and, who might have referred you, or how you saw them about these, or what you might like to get out of the classes? Just
And tonight's
unmute.
an, and tonight's an open forum, just for those that don't know.
I can share.
Okay, Jessica. Great. Welcome.
Well, Scott is actually my doctor, so he recommended the class, and I actually saw him today. So, um, I saw him a month ago, and he had first mentioned it, and so I checked out the website, different stuff then, and then today when I was talking with him, he mentioned tonight's meeting, and so I'm here.
Well, great. We're happy to have you, and I'm sure he's happy
Hey, hello.
that you decided to come. And I do recognize most everybody else who's been here before. So we'll try to have some fun tonight, answer a few questions, and we don't have a specific topic tonight, but we still can have some fun. Oh, Lisa, you're around. Are you working tonight, or what's your status in terms of your ability to share a little bit with us tonight?
I can just share just a brief intro, but I don't think I'll be able to go through the whole shebang.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we could start with you sharing a brief intro and then see how things go.
Yeah, I was just checking on the email though, and I saw that next week was TBD. So if there's space, next week would work well for me.
Okay.
But anyway, my name's Lisa. I just started my last year of medical school, which is technically my 5th year in Los Angeles in Pomona at a osteopathic medical school. And I've been working with Dr. Ross and Scott for the last 3 or so years. So we've had some good health coaching sessions that are one-on-one virtual sessions for people who feel like they need a little extra support. And we also have a book club. So the Lifestyle Medicine Book Club is meeting this Thursday at 7 o'clock. We meet every month, and this month we are reading Why We Sleep. And we're reading the first half of it this month and the second half next month. And we've kind of shifted focus in the book club to highlight some other aspects of lifestyle medicine aside from nutrition. And I think that's going to be really exciting for this first meeting. Otherwise, we have the Facebook group. So there's plenty of opportunities to connect with other people and build a little community here.
How many people are in the Facebook group now about?
I think over 550 the last time I checked a couple of weeks ago.
That's pretty magnificent. And I think it's only been up for what, a year and a half, a little over a year.
Yeah, something like that. Same with our book club. We just started it the beginning of last year.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay, Yolanda.
I just wanted to ask, what was the name of the Facebook group?
It's Live Lifestyle Medicine Community.
Okay.
I'll put it in the chat so you can just click on the link.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
It's also in the class newsletter I send out every Sunday. And there's also a link to the Facebook group on the homepage of livelifestylemedicine.com.
Thanks. Thank you. don't know how I missed that.
Human. Okay, any other thoughts or questions, from anybody? Remember, this is an open forum, which means you can ask about anything that you want. We'll try to discuss what you're interested in. Just either raise your hand or unmute and say hello.
I just wanted to say,
Marcia,
I just wanted to say that I lost a good friend of mine today. She had pancreatic cancer, metastasized, and she lost her oxygen level and she died. So I just think it's important to eat whole food, plant-based. I see no other way around it. I just talked to another lady, her sister has pancreatic cancer, kidney problems, a clot in their lungs, can't swallow right. It's awful, all these diseases that are out there, but eat whole foods and live prosperously.
yeah, so we do have more than an abundance of chronic diseases. It's very sad, the number of cases of obesity and cancer, diabetes, heart disease, many of which are preventable or potentially reversible by making healthy lifestyle choices, diet being way up there, of course, is one of the primary reasons, underlying causes of health or illness. And boy, it saddens me also. And I have been talking with people on a daily basis this last week, people who have uncontrolled diabetes, people who have been diagnosed recently with cancer, and trying to convince them of the benefits of doing something different with their life. And it's not an easy sell with a culture that promotes in a different direction. But thanks for those comments. Anyone else?
Hello.
Hello, Marcia.
Hi.
And then Yolanda.
I was reading McDougall, Dr. Greger, blog that he put on today, yesterday. So about metformin being used for lifelong longevity. Have you read that one yet?
Yeah, Scott, do you want to deal with it?
Yeah, just it looks like the data they have, it was some of it was mostly has been in animal data, but they're starting to get it, some were in population studies, or in prospective studies, but you have to look, there's all the confounding variables and things, but the mechanism seems to be it increases AMPK, so it's a enzyme, and that AMP, like severe calorie restriction will boost AMPK, and so metformin seems to boost AMPK, and that's a mechanism for longevity. So yeah, there's talk about, should you everyone take metformin for longevity, but then you have to worry about side effects and stuff too. So, it can cause lactic acidosis, muscle weakness, diarrhea, things like that. So it's always, when you use a drug, it's always a risk benefit, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. They're getting some data back on metformin for longevity.
I
read that the people that that diabetics who've been on metformin long term live longer than
I saw that.
people without diabetes that don't. And I've been on metformin long term, yay.
I'm trying to get off of it.
Yeah.
I've been on it for 8 years, almost 8 years.
Yeah, we all know it's better not to have diabetes because that puts you at high risk for cardiovascular disease and so many other things. So we don't want to have diabetes, but yeah, it's interesting as they get more data about metformin itself.
Yeah.
I'm sure that statistically it pales into comparison from, because the blue zone people are not taking metformin, so they're just eating a mostly plant-based diet, exercising, not smoking, social connection, all the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. They've got those, and they're living the longest, and they're not on metformin, so we know we can do it without it.
Yolanda.
I just want to make the comment on the hard sell. I've been preaching to my family, many of whom have chronic illnesses, and I also want and they sort of take a bite. And thanks to Charlie, I have a brother with some significant health issues, and Charlie has agreed to work with him, for which I'll forever be grateful, Charlie. Thank you so much. But it's a hard sell. I talked to him today, and he's like, well, I tried. And I said to him, Mike, remember how we used to eat when we were kids? We're Puerto Rican. Rice and beans. And he goes, yeah, and pork chops and beef steak. And I said, well, just leave out the pork chops, leave out the beef steak, and have some greens. And that's all it takes, Mike. You know, eat like we used to eat as kids, except for the chops. But it is hard. It is difficult for some people to make the change. I did not find it difficult, but I'm not sure what the difference is. But I was grateful. I'm grateful that he's trying a little, and grateful to Charlie to helping him along.
I just talked with him before this class. I gave him a call, and he said that you were encouraging him along the path. I told
I
him, he told me he kind of fell off the wagon a bit. And I said, welcome to the human race.
Yeah.
That, people, it's hard to be perfect in this world, and that he was eating oatmeal, and that, good for him for doing something different. And that, what was his goal? What did he really want in this world? He says, well, I really need to do something different. So we kind of left it at that. I told him, we'll see how you're doing in another week.
Well, I got a little more blunt with him when I said, Mike, you're a heart attack waiting to happen. No, actually what I said was, you're a stroke and a heart attack waiting to happen. I said, you need to clean up those arteries, and this is the way to do it.
Well, you could be the bad cop, and I'm gonna kind of try to let him do his thing.
Yeah, well, no, I was pretty mellow about it and stuff, but after a while, it's just, you really need a reality check. Somebody needs to tell you, your choice, do it or don't,
Yeah.
And he's a man who can discipline himself to exercise. So I also told him, look, Mike, the discipline it takes to get up in the morning at 5 to go do boot camp, that's the same discipline you have to apply to this. So hopefully.
Yolanda, he's listening to you.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you. And I hope he's listening to you too.
Okay, well, he's lucky to have you for sure.
Thank you.
All right, Trouty and then Marcia.
Yeah, I think something has a lot to do how your upbringing was when you were young, how you ate, and because you like that food already, and if your mom was cooking from scratch, and like my mom was doing, it's not too difficult. It takes a while to get used to get rid of the meat and all that, but I think it has a lot to do how you were fed when you were young, because you like that kind of food and then you can change it. But if you eat the bacon and eggs and already got raised that way, then it's very difficult to change. That has a lot to do with it.
Have you changed?
Yes, except for the chocolate. Lemon chocolate.
And I'm just asking you this for the new people in the class. So when you made the change, how long ago was it? How difficult was it for you? And how did you do it?
I fell back a few times, but I picked myself up again, and eventually I did not need that anymore. And I'm very much controlled. I also read a lot of books on nutrition, and in the evening I have the oatmeal that makes me go to sleep better, the carbohydrate, and in the daytime I have a whole plate of vegetables, usually broccoli and cauliflower and carrots, and a little side dish with what do you call it, a sweet, not peas, split peas soup, and sometimes a salad, just a small salad, and later on in the afternoon I have maybe some fruit, some cherries, whatever I get from the store, whatever I like. So, and then in the morning I have the same thing, the vegetables, depending on how, if I have to run out quick and have some engagement, then I get something already cooked, like farina, and I just have a little fruit and then I go. But I have usually a big plate of veggies, and I have to have that throughout the day. So sometimes I have it twice a day, and that's fine. And I just drink water, no coffee, no hot chocolate, nothing. But I'm still hooked on the with the sport, the marzipan. You know, it's a level of almond paste and dark chocolate, but it has no salt in it, and all the other ones have salt in it. So that's basically. And I'm sticking now to water with the oatmeal. I'm just finishing off the almond milk, and because it has too many ingredients in it that I don't like, chemicals in it, I don't like that. So I have to be very careful, and my problem is more the stress level, but not the eating as much. No, but it used to be the eating. So
Okay.
that's basically it.
Well, thanks for sharing. Marcia and then Joan.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my sons today. He was telling me that his doctor wants to take his gallbladder out and he don't want it. I keep encouraging him when I talk to him, because go to that nutritionfacts.org and see what they say about it. And so I'm trying to get him there, but so he
I'll
goes,
keep
"Yeah,
sharing the resources with them and let him make a decision from there. That's a good
Yeah.
way to go.
Yeah, he goes, well, you see all these others that say this is okay, and it's okay. And I said, follow the money. The guy that does this nutrition facts does not accept any money for it. He's not selling pills or anything. So hopefully he does it. We will see.
Very
Yeah.
good. Joan?
I thought it was interesting. I got a community newsletter and it talked about safe disposal of fog, fats, oils, and grease. And it's wanting to keep your drains in health and your wastewater system in health. And I thought, well, that applies to our own biological system. Examples of fog are meat fats, lard and shortening, butter, dairy products, margarine, fatty, greasy food scraps, sauces, cooking oil. If you go plant-based, you don't have to worry about the fog.
Great analogy. I love it. clogging the drains in the street versus clogging the tubes in your body. Very clever. Anyone else have a question or suggestion or thought about how things are going? Yeah, Joan.
So one more thing, for the people that read Fiber Fueled, if you're in the Eugene, Springfield area, I just discovered 2 classes that might be of interest at the Campbell Center for fermented food. One is called Beyond Sauerkraut, and it's learn how to make your own fermented pickle, salsa, hot sauce, and different things. So there's another one, fermenting sauerkraut and kombucha. These are both in August. One's on the 19th and one's on the 26th. Those are Mondays, 6:30 to 8:30. So if you wanted some fermenting cooking classes.
Wow, thanks for sharing. Yeah. Lynn, you had your hand up. You're muted.
Mute, there we go. I just wanted to say I visited with, for those of you who don't know, 6/12, I had a heart attack and a stent. And I visited with my new cardiologist for the first time this morning. And she did an EKG. And my PCP had done one June 24th, which showed inverted T waves. And she said, I think your EKG will always be abnormal. And so I kind of accepted that. And the EKG today was normal.
Oh, good.
So that was good. And in cardiac rehab today, I was able to do what I wasn't able to do before easily with low heart rate, and everything's coming together. I think it's because of the kayaking. I went whitewater kayaking for the first time again Saturday, and did 3 hours of class 2. And I just made sure to have somebody else carry half my boat because I wasn't sure about the lifting and my heart yet. And I led most of the time, and it was just glorious, no strain, and I think it just helped. And of course, I'm eating properly. I'm not eating perfect, but I'm eating really, really well. And I have to share, this will make you laugh. I was asking the cardiologist if I could maybe start 1 cup of coffee again once in a while, because I love coffee and I haven't had any since June 12th. And she said, sure. And then we talked about other stuff, and she started talking about diet. And she also said I could start probiotics, but then she also thinks olive oil is a health food. So, you know, that's the funny part.
Yeah, there's
Olive oil is a health food.
going to be a lot of conflicting, confusing information. And I guess the question that comes to my mind is, where did she get her training in healthy eating choices?
Well, she had most of it right, but
Yeah.
but you know, the usual standard it was just standard, you know. I started reading Esselstyn's book today because I had to wait 3 hours for a lab draw. And
Uh-huh.
so that gave me a good end to that. And so anyway, I've started that. I don't know how severe I'm gonna go with it, but you know, his no avocados, no nuts, you know, I'm not sure about all that, but I'm gonna maybe try it. I'm gonna keep reading.
My wife and I read that book. Her dad died in his early 40s, first heart attack, didn't have a second chance. Her mother and brother both had bypasses. we decided that she likely was next in line because she was as old as they were. So we did it, we followed Esselstyn for 2 solid years. Followed him to the T so we could clean out our arteries and get back to a baseline. And it's been 13 years almost now, and she has no evidence of heart disease.
I'm sure it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll follow it for a year and then maybe sneak in some nuts or avocado occasionally. I
Yeah,
think that'll kill me.
yeah,
Hey,
so that's,
you're better. Yeah, you're better off sneaking in the nuts and avocados than any oil. So at least you're eating food rather than processed fat.
Yeah, I had no desire to do the oil. I didn't tell her that, but I
Well, she's
said,
probably just recommending more or less a Mediterranean diet, which is what most cardiologists do, and they're not aware that Mediterranean diet doesn't lower risk for heart attacks at all. So,
maybe. But she had most of it right, but she really thought it was really healthy. She kind of went on and on about it.
yeah.
I just kind of just nodded and I stayed quiet to see her for a year, and she was very good with everything else.
Well, great. Congratulations on doing
Thank
so
you.
well and getting a normal EKG and all the other benefits. Yeah, yeah.
My heart seems to be totally recovering, so yay.
Great. That's wonderful.
Didn't Dr. Esselstyn just pass away?
yeah, it was Dr. McDougall.
McDougall passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Esselstyn's still going strong.
Does anybody know what led to his death?
I don't, but he had a stroke when he was 18 years old, and
Oh,
then
right.
then in the fire, when he was running from his home, he fell in the Paradise Fire in California a few years,
Uh-huh.
and he had severe complications with I don't know if it was shock or something led to him needing almost dying actually. And then he recovered. So he has had some significant stresses in his life.
And the stroke he had when he was 18 was a lacunar stroke, which is usually caused by bleeding. And so, that we aren't probably ever going to know, but there's a theory that maybe he had another lacunar stroke, which is a bleeding type of stroke, and that could be fatal. So yeah, hard to say. He died in his sleep overnight. I think he just went to bed one night and just didn't wake up. Oh,
What causes a bleeding stroke? As
it
opposed
could be,
to
yeah, he
I'm
might have had
assuming
he might have had a weakened blood vessel wall, kind of congenital issue
I see.
potentially. Yeah, and then of course when he was 18, his diet was terrible, but I don't know if that had much to do with it or not. But
Sounds more
yeah,
congenital.
yeah, hard to, again, it's going to be hard to say because it's his arteries were clean and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rowdy and then Jerry. Well, Jerry, you want to go first?
You said he broke his leg in the fire. What were the complications after that?
I think there were some kidney complications, wound up on dialysis for a bit and other stuff, probably from shock or whatever. I don't know
Oh,
his real history. It just had bits and pieces.
well, the gal that is the wife, that they own the coconut.
Yep.
She mentioned to me the other day when I was in that he had died. She says, "Did you know?" I said, "Yes, I did know." And she says, "Well, it's on the internet, big deal, his diet, So was he not supposed to die?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those kind of things. He actually beat the odds by probably living as long as he did after having that lacunar stroke, like Scott was talking about. So, there's always going to be controversy, and you're going to hear different people who are going to be skeptical for sure.
That just seems a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Trouty.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I left olive oil off for about a year and a half now, and I don't have anything, no oils except for the chocolate has oil in it, has fat in it. I wonder how much damage would that do?
Well, how much damage the oil in the chocolate would do, or not
Yeah,
having?
the fat in the well, they have to have fat in the chocolate in order to keep it together, you know? So, how much damage would that do?
Well, dark
Well-
chocolate doesn't have any oil in it. It's just cocoa, but it's cocoa butter, but that's not dairy. It's just like dark chocolate is just cocoa and cocoa butter and a little bit of sugar. If it's less, it's like at 70% or higher. So you can buy chocolate without oil in it.
And you can get cacao powder, which you can just add to a hot drink, and it's delicious.
No, I don't take that because I don't take hot chocolate, and I also don't take just any chocolate. It's just that certain type and no other one. But it has to have some, not oil, but fat in it. And that's what I'm wondering, how much damage does that do? I have not felt anything, but I wonder if that is, I don't eat any avocados anymore either.
It depends on how much chocolate that you're eating, chocolate and almond mix. You know, like if you ate a whole can full of it a day, that would be a problem. But if you're having a little square or whatever it is,
a whole thing full of it. I
know?
can't stop, like some people can't stop the oh, you know, chips or something. I can't stop that. I get finish it, but not every day.
all
When
right.
I
So, and remember, Trouty, there are freaks of nature. You know, my dad was able to eat a Dairy Queen and whatever it might be and live to 99. So, you know, I'm not betting my life on being able to do that. I'm eating just whole foods that are plant-based. But there are some people who just manage to survive in spite of what the statistics and odds have to say.
Well, for one thing, the chocolate sometimes puts me to sleep, and other times it wakes me up. So whenever I'm very tired, it relaxes, sugar relaxes me. And other times when I need a little pep, then the chocolate is picking up on it. So it's both ends is good.
Okay. Joan.
I wanted to share with people that are just getting started how easy it is to saute without oil. I was amazed. I always thought you had to have oil in the pan. But like tonight, I sauteed green peppers and mushrooms and put them on a baked potato and nothing. I didn't even need extra water. It's just really, really easy to do without oil.
Mhm.
That's an important point.
Yeah.
Since we still have Lisa here too, she was asking next week said to be determined because we're scheduled on the class website. We're scheduled for autoimmune disease, arthritis, and thyroid health part 1 of 2 next week. But we're waiting to see how it goes on Friday's class because eventually we're starting to do our Friday night classes, which are starting over from the very beginning introduction this coming Friday and next Friday. Once we kind of get that rolling and it's going okay for the hybrid, so people can attend via Zoom on this link or be there in person, then we'll likely be dropping the Tuesday class and just doing the one class on Friday that you can attend in person or on Zoom. So if that's the case, then we'll just switch over and kind of be starting over with the introductions. But if we'll keep you updated if we if we do a class next Tuesday. If we do, then we will be doing autoimmune disease, arthritis, and thyroid health.
Yolanda, and then Jerry.
Well, you mentioned the word arthritis. Always, I get interested quickly. Anything new for osteoarthritis? Everybody, I mean, like Dr. Goldner's focuses on basically on rheumatoid arthritis and other immune mediated arthritis, other diseases. Anything new on dealing with osteoarthritis?
Well, it's also influenced by chronic inflammation. So Brooke Goldner's protocol would be the same. Could help. It's not gonna, if you have bad osteoarthritis on a knee X-ray, for example, it's not gonna look any better on an X-ray after making the diet and lifestyle changes. But your pain and inflammation could be significantly improved if you get rid of those red light foods and the oils and all the processed stuff and really do the hyper nutrition.
I have done. I did try Dr. Goldner's hyper nutrition and ended up quite sick.
Oh.
Yeah, I ended up with abdominal distress that lasted over 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, I guess I better go get checked. And they ran, they as soon as they see your age, they run a gazillion tests and start the referrals. But because it takes so long to get everything came back normal, but it takes so long to get a referred appointment, my issue had resolved. I stopped the hypernutrition.
So is it just too much volume of smoothies and too much all at once, maybe?
Well, I tried to build up with it, Scott, but it just, and I bought this special container so I could make sure that I drank all the water she recommends and stuff. And it just really didn't, I felt ill, and I hadn't felt ill before. I was like, oh, what's going on here? So I'm not sure. Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Is there anything else that might be out there? The turmeric I do and those things, but
I think just the best thing to do is, the turmeric, and then avoiding all the red light foods, all the animal products, all the processed foods, all the oils, and sticking with the whole food plant-based diet. That's probably going to be
I suppose I'm very active, as you know, and pickleball, backpacking, hiking, heavy duty gardening and stuff, but it sure would be nice not to, especially in the morning, right? You feel all creaky when you first get up. That would be nice not to have, but.
Yeah, and I don't have anything additional to offer at this point. A moderate exercise is important with osteoarthritis. And I guess Tylenol might be something you could consider if you're having discomfort that is bothering you a lot. I don't know if
it's not a lot, Charlie. I would rather not take Tylenol. I use ibuprofen when I feel like, okay, I've had enough. But Tylenol doesn't seem to be effective. I'm not sure why. Ibuprofen works better for joint pain for me, but I don't have, I can't pretend that I have arthritis to the point where it affects my lifestyle. It does not. It would be, if there's something out there that could help slow it down or reverse it, I would like to be doing it. I just haven't found. I trolled the internet looking, and I haven't found anything new.
Well, it sounds like you're slowing it down by what you're doing, by eating, moderate exercise, and I guess there are those other issues of lowering the stress in your life, not worrying too much about it.
Getting good sleep.
Yeah.
Not worrying about my brother, for instance.
Yeah. That's part of it. Maybe doing a little meditation. Well, you know, like
Yeah.
Dean Ornish does meditation and yoga.
Yeah, you know, I frequently forget about meditation, and it's had an impact in my life. I will try to get back to that. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. That's why we have these classes to kind of discuss it a little bit.
Thanks.
Jerry. Unmute yourself. There you go.
I just wanted to tell Lynn to buy that cardiologist SOS book.
I'll tell her about it a year from now when my echo shows vast improvement. I'll tell
Yeah,
her.
there you go.
Yeah.
That works.
Perfect.
Trouty, you have another comment?
Yeah, I was wondering about osteoporosis. If you drink coffee, what does that do to your joints? It's a lot of acids. I personally don't drink it, and because of the heart problem, I cannot do it. But I can get away with chocolate. It's strange, but it does work. But I would not drink coffee. No.
I'm not aware of any effect on osteoporosis with coffee.
Osteoarthritis.
Or
I mean.
osteoarthritis. I'm not aware of any effect on osteoarthritis either.
I was thinking the acids in the coffee, what it does.
I don't know. I just have never seen any study that
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean,
links the two.
coffee's got antioxidants, so it would potentially be helpful because of the antioxidants. But it's what you put in it. So if you're just drinking a little black coffee, it's probably fine. But if you're dumping sugar in it and creamer and all that, then I would say it's not helpful and could be harmful.
There's
What
also a very large difference between the type of coffee that you use and the method of like how you brew it as well, which can have more acid, make it more acidic or not. So
Right.
if you're using, you know, like
Decaf.
instant Folgers or something like that versus like and how the method that whether you're using cheaper coffee or not is going to reduce the acid if you're concerned about acid levels.
Drip is supposed to be good. That one of the better methods to use it, just throwing through a filter, dripping through a filter.
Yeah, paper filter. And then Dr. Greger has some videos on different methods of brewing coffee and the differences between the darker coffee and lighter roasts, different roasts and stuff, and what the studies show on, you know, how the acidity level and different things. I know he has a bunch of videos on that on nutritionfacts.org.
Anybody have any issues on children, kids, concerns? Any thoughts about that?
I'd like to make them cardiologists. Unless you have a lifestyle medicine provider, I would say you need to really be careful of what your cardiologists are telling you. If they're mainstream medicine cardiologists, they have a whole different ball game than you are in as a whole food, plant-based lifestyle person.
Yes, it's true.
And you will not get your best advice. Even dealing with your heart, you won't get your best advice from a mainstream cardiologist. So I know you have to go to them, but just be careful. They'll tell you all kinds of things. I've seen 2 in the last 2 months, and I've been 9 months whole food plant-based. My blood work is all very good at this point. And when I told my cardiologist that I was eating whole food plant-based, he said to me, "Don't you dare go vegan. You need the balance of your meat. You make sure you have meat." I'm just, you know, and I saw his PA about a month after that, and she told me exactly the same thing. And so just be careful. If you have a lifestyle medicine provider, then you're getting good, healthful information about what to do with your health. If you have a mainstream doctor that came through all the other ways besides lifestyle medicine,
that advice may not be the best that you can have.
True.
That's like I always say in class, it's like you might as well ask your mailman for nutrition advice than ask your doctor, because as you know from Charlie and I, we didn't get any nutrition education in medical school or PA school, and we had to study it on our own, and and through lifestyle medicine and all that to get the actual science on good nutrition. Otherwise, it's just whatever your doctor's own food preferences are, maybe a few books they might have read, just like any other lay person out there. So just like Pam says, you have to know who to trust, where you get your sources of your information.
Jerry and then Yolanda.
Me?
Jerry first.
Jerry, yeah.
And
Oh,
then
put your hand down
Yolanda,
then, Jerry.
and then Trouty. So Jerry, can you unmute yourself? Or your hand is up. There you go.
I don't know how to make it go down. Oh, wait.
Okay,
It says
Go to-
lower, it says lower hand. Did I do it?
not yet.
It doesn't show.
Now it did.
There you
It-
go.
Yeah, you did it
Now
now.
you're good.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's the same button on this computer to put your
Okay.
hand up.
Good deal. Okay, Yolanda.
So just going back to that caffeine issue, there's a publication on ncbi.nim.nih.gov, and it says in the conclusion, overall, there is ample evidence indicating that caffeine intake negatively affects the physiology of both articular and growth plate cartilage, increasing consumers' predisposition to suffer OA and LBG1, which I'm not sure what that is. As a result, caffeine consumption should be avoided for these pathologies.
Huh.
Mhm.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing
You're
that.
welcome.
I wasn't aware.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee, so I'm, but I am drinking green tea and it has a little caffeine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tea
That's one of
powder.
those mixed messages, right? Green tea is supposed to be good for you.
Yeah, well, maybe do a decaffeinated tea, an herbal tea, and see if that helps.
If that helps, I'm gonna do it. Gotta do something.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you for sharing that.
Welcome.
Trouty.
Yeah, I'm thinking that some of the cardiologists looking for their own jobs, I had one that encouraged me to have a lot of eggs, a lot of meat, a lot of fish, and I ended up having the heart problem. And I took that off and I changed my cardiologist, and now no problems. So he would not recommend that. But the other one probably wanted to have the business. So sometimes, you have to be careful, like she said. They looking out for their own interests. So yeah, we have to be careful. Do our homework.
My guess is it's more just not knowing, not to, I don't think they're trying to make their patients sick. I just think they just don't have the knowledge.
No, and it's hard enough to get into one. I don't think they need the business either.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything burning on their mind, something they'd like to share, or a question they have about any topic?
Why not just go over for me? I'm using up the last of occasionally, maybe once every 10 days, a piece of wild salmon from the Costco vacuum packed, because my body reacts well to salmon, and I just have it with dill and lemon, and it seems fine. But can you tell me again what the case is against this?
Sure.
Good.
Yeah, so the eating, so it's always when we talk about a food being healthy or not, it's always compared to what. So if you were to eat that salmon, that's a better choice than eating bacon or sausage or burgers or cheese or donuts or other so-called red light foods, right? So even though fish is still on the red light food list, it's a better choice amongst many of the other red light foods. And so if you just really like the taste of it and you would have eaten something that would have been worse, then that would be the better choice. But if you're trying to reverse heart disease, it's not a good choice because it's going to have, not only is it going to have the saturated fat and cholesterol that's going to clog up your arteries, the heart arteries included. It doesn't have the antioxidants, it doesn't have the fiber, all the things that we talk about that are going to bring you health. And even though it has some healthy omega-3 fats in it, you can't eat fish with just omega-3s. It's gonna have it's a food, so it's a package deal. So you're not only are you getting the saturated fat and the cholesterol, you're getting the methylmercury, the dioxins, the PCBs, the microplastics, all the pollution, which is why we tell pregnant women not to eat any seafood, especially not eat, and including fish. So because it's contaminated. So it's not a good choice compared to fruits and vegetables and beans and potatoes and sweet potatoes and intact whole grains, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices. All the unprocessed whole plant foods are way better choices than the fish. But again, you put it into context of what you would have eaten otherwise. So it's just a decision you get to make.
That was a good summary. Trouty.
I looked at the other day at one of those packages with the fish, and I thought, oh, looks so good, that salmon. And for some reason, I just didn't. And I'm glad he's mentioned that now, because I will not eat it anymore now. Thank you so much for letting me know.
Anyone else?
You can always show a few of your pictures of some of your meals to give some of the newer people a view of how beautiful the plate looks and how all the good food you can eat.
All right, we can do that for just a couple minutes. I'm gonna share my screen here. And we're gonna come over here to, let's see. I need to pull this down and close this out. And come over here, food pictures. Food is medicine. Let's see. Can you see this at all?
Yeah.
So this is what we start. My wife and I start out breakfast. You can all see this as blueberries. We have like a half a cup of blueberries every day. They're fresh or frozen. We also have like a vitamin B12. We do a sublingual. And then we had been doing until summer some vitamin D3, but during summer we kind of do it sporadically depending on how much sun we're getting. If you see, this is half of our breakfast here. It's composed of legumes. It could be beans, could be black beans, pinto beans, white beans, Swedish brown beans, adzuki beans, any kind of beans, or even lentils sometimes. Another half a cup a piece. We have a mushroom, one button mushroom every day. Underneath all this is a bed of green. My wife steams about 2 cups each of which are kale, chard, and collard green. So she chops them up, puts them in the steamer, and we have a couple cups of those. And then I add a little bit of spinach, maybe a half a handful of spinach with a half a handful of arugula. We have learned to really like our greens. At first, we had one little tiny leaf of green many, many years ago when we started doing this. You see there is a little slice of, what is that? Pepper, bell pepper. Could be a strawberry. Lately, we've been having a strawberry or two with a couple grapes. And then you see we have some orange. It could be the little oranges or it could be the big or a combination of those. Here's some dulse, which is sea vegetable. We have just a little bit of it. And then along with this, we have a little red leaf lettuce, radicchio, along with a little bit of purple cabbage now we've added. Underneath all this is chopped up 1 clove of garlic. It's raw garlic. We've kind of learned to eat that on a daily basis. And then if there are chives growing in the garden, I'll get a little chive and put it up underneath. I've grown some, what are they? Some sprouts, mung bean sprouts, maybe a 1/4 cup of mung bean sprouts, along with half of a jalapeno pepper, a little slice, a half of a little tiny slice, just for a little taste. You know, these taste thrills come through. My mouth is watering as I'm talking to you about this, but that's only half of our breakfast. The other half happens to be either oats or groats, or could be bulgur if you like wheat, but we kind of like oats. And then we can put flax seeds. So we do a tablespoon, and sometimes we'll add a little chia seed, which you see on top of here. My wife kind of likes to put in her oatmeal or her groats. Groats are just like a steel cut oat that hasn't been cut by the steel blade. So it has the full amount of fiber, whereas the 5-minute cooking oats have a little bit less fiber in them, but they're still very healthy option. We have a full cup, and then we have about a 1/4 cup of walnuts. This might be slightly more on this day. She likes her blueberries inside with the cereal or whole grain, and I like mine kind of separate. So, but nonetheless, we both enjoy it. This shows you about how much greens my wife chops up for us. Works out to be about a couple, leaves of each of these items. And then sometimes we might have a grapefruit or strawberries. Broccoli, we also usually have maybe a half a cup of broccoli for breakfast. This here is turmeric in a drink, which we used to have. We don't do that right now. And then this was the red leaf lettuce. Here's a little bit of the garlic that gets chopped up on 1 clove. And here is the chives. We also oftentimes have 2 little baby tomatoes, maybe some radish. You can add whatever you like, and it adds flavor. Here's some cauliflower, which we have with this, but the theme is pretty much the same. It's legumes, about a half a cup. It's greens, a couple cups, maybe even a little more. It's fruit of a few different kinds for different variety, but basically a couple half a cups of fruit or so, 1 mushroom on a regular basis. And what did I leave out? Whole grain. This here is I guess kiwi one day we had, and I don't know, it's not quite in our usual bowl, or it's a start. My wife likes her broccoli steamed as opposed to raw. Sometimes she'll throw in a few pumpkin seeds, just for the fun of it, and also may add a little balsamic vinegar, which we do on a regular basis now, just because it tastes good and Gregor recommends doing it, and why not? So you can see the colors, how beautiful this looks. Here's a dehydrated apple with some nutritional yeast and cinnamon. And I'm going to stop here because you kind of get the idea of how you can make it a little different. Here we threw some turmeric on the green. It kind of blends in, so you kind of don't taste it very much. You can even add flowers into your life should you choose to do that. Peaches, and then you can get on to other kinds of food. So let me stop there and give you all a chance to do some questions. Yes, Jessica.
Yes. I was wondering if I was looked through your website and some of the recipes that are on there. But I noticed as everyone was talking about different foods that you mentioned things like balsamic vinegar or even jalapeno or peppers or something like that. And I didn't know what sorts of like seasonings, I guess you could say, um, are considered. Is there anything that isn't okay other than obviously you were talking about oils and fat type things like that? But are there, um, yeah, I
Every
guess
herb
so.
and spice is healthy, pretty much. Salt is the problem, is the main problematic ingredient. Salt. So you want to get iodine in your diet, and we've been used to getting iodine in our diet from iodized salt, but it's probably better to do the kind of half salt, like potassium and salt, sodium mixture Gregor talks about, light salt, I think it's called. Try to get it with iodine or eat sea vegetables for the iodine. But other than that, any other spice or herb is generally considered pretty healthy. So if you like, I don't know, a curry, there are a whole different kinds of bunches of many different kinds of curry you might like. My wife uses Asian spice. She uses Mexican spices. She uses Tajin, which is a Mexican spice on its own. She uses Italian herbs and spices. Um, any of those are really health promoting, but be careful about not adding a bunch of salt into your life. A little pinch here and there, probably okay. But most of the salt you're going to be getting is from the processed foods that you have been buying, but maybe might choose not to buy, and it won't be a big problem. You can have, depending on who you believe, 1,500 milligrams of salt a day, up to maybe 22 or 300 milligrams. That's like 3/4 of a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt in all your foods. But if you're eating like processed cans, like soups, they have tons of salt. If you're eating chips that have salt in them, I mean, if you're eating chicken that gets injected with sodium phosphate, those are really, you know, really a significant cause of death, the amount of sodium that we have. I think it's one of the major causes of death around the world, disease causing problem. I know that's hard to accept. We like it so much.
And most of the salt's in the restaurant food and the processed food, like Charlie said. And you cut out, if you're cutting out processed food, you're cutting out 70 to 80% of all the salt in the typical American diet. And then we usually say try not to cook with salt in your recipes, but if you're gonna want to salt your food because you're kind of getting used to the change in the diet, then a little pinch, like Charlie said, at the table on your plate is the way to go, because it doesn't take very much salt on the surface of the food on your plate to give it that taste, that salty taste. But where if you put it in the cooking, it's kind of hidden. In the processed food, it's really hidden, used as a preservative. And so that's kind of the deal with the salt. But yeah, have a whole plethora of all the different herbs and spices. They're all loaded with antioxidants and are actually really healthy.
I did have a follow-up question regarding that, but I know that there was somebody else with another question. Mostly my question had to do with the process. So usually the way I usually have food is I don't actually put a lot of that stuff in it or use processed prepackaged stuff. But what about like the way you process food? I noticed that someone has mentioned fermenting and other kinds of ways of, I guess you would say, you're starting from scratch with the ingredients, but you're processing, you're putting your food through a process or something like that. Are there any things that are not recommended to do in terms of the way that you're cooking if you are cooking it yourself?
Yeah, so it's a good point there with fermenting. Can a lot of times you have to be careful because a lot of fermented foods have a lot of salt. So you have to, hopefully you can do more of a pickling. There's different ways you can
Or sugar.
ferment foods. Yeah, right. Without
Kombucha
the
has
salt's
sugar,
kind of
it's
the big one.
sugar-based.
Yeah, but then as far as we have processed foods and ultra processed foods, and so a good way to kind of look at it is if you're making it from scratch but just putting it through your food processor, or even if you baked your own bread at home or something, that's kind of minimally processed, we would call that. Whereas something that's ultra processed is like you look at the package at the store, could you make that in your kitchen? So like look at the ingredients on a Twinkie. Could you actually cook that in your kitchen? No, because it looks like a chemistry set when you look at the list of ingredients. And so that's ultra processed food. So there's minimally processed and ultra processed. So the kind of most of the foods that Charlie showed there in his pictures were just all whole plant foods. But towards the end there, he showed like there was like a bean burger there that they made from scratch, and I think his wife makes the buns and stuff. So there, bread is minimally processed because you used flour, right? So even if it's whole wheat flour, that would be minimally processed. But and then the bean burger is just beans and some other ingredients mashed together and maybe baked in the air fryer, that kind of thing. So that's kind of, you could say, well, there is a little bit of processing there, but it's just putting together whole foods that you did from scratch. Where the foods that we're really trying to avoid are the foods that have labels and we buy packaged in the store. Anything you wanted to add to that, Charlie?
No, I think that you pretty much covered it. I'm just trying to see if I can think of anything else that might be of benefit. Avoiding frying anything, avoiding using oils to cook with. Using your microwave is a healthy option. Using an air fryer, like Scott mentioned, is a healthy option. Freezing is okay. Fermenting, like Scott mentioned, with the salt, and you mentioned the sugar. The benefit of doing fermenting is that it may add some organisms and improve your microbiome. So you have more diversity in your microbiome by doing fermenting. But you can expand your microbiome by just eating a variety of different foods. As you saw for breakfast for us, we have about 30 to 35 different kinds of foods that we incorporate. Now, this takes us some time to do this. We're making a choice. that our health is worth it and we're spending time together in the kitchen. So we spend about 20 or 25 minutes going through our refrigerator and chopping. Not everybody wants to do that. You know, not everybody has the time to do that. So you may want to just keep it simple as oatmeal, whatever fruit, and, you know, a couple handfuls of green that you can pull out of a package that you buy at the store. Baked potato or microwave potato, cut it open, put in half a can of beans with some salsa, a couple of handfuls of greens. You've got a full meal. If one potato is not enough, then you get another second potato. And then for dessert, we have dessert at every meal. It's fruit. It's so sweet now, the grapes and the pears and the mangoes and the fruit that we eat, because we're not eating the donuts and the brownies and the cookies and the refined sugars. So try to stick with whole foods as grown in nature as close as you can. Anybody else have any thoughts?
I had peas and I noticed how sweet they were. I just had peas with my lunch, and it's like, man, they tasted almost sugary, and it was just peas. The ingredients were frozen peas.
It is amazing when you train your tongue to zero in on the sweets and the natural foods, as opposed to dumbing down your tongue with the artificial sweeteners and the highly refined carbohydrate foods. They really numb your tongue and you don't recognize that. So I noticed that we grew some peas in our backyard, and man, they are sweet. I agree.
Like Dr. Greger says, you know, when you're eating Fruit Loops for breakfast, the sweetest, ripest peach won't taste very sweet compared to Fruit Loops.
Yes, how true. Scott, do you want to go through the website briefly and, you know, kind of point out some of the videos that might be, you know, there are some good introductory videos like Clapper's video and maybe Greger's video.
Yeah, I'll just show you here's the website, livelifestylemedicine.com. And so all new patients, I always tell them to go to this homepage of this website and scroll down and watch the full website tutorial here. It's 15 minutes long. I give a full tour of where everything is on the website. So I'd start there. But just to mention some of the things that Charlie said, if you go to the video section here, there are some good introductory videos. You can just kind of scroll down. I'll point a few out. This is a great introduction one, How Not to Die cartoon from Dr. Greger. It talks about his website and his journey on how he created Nutrition Facts is a good one to start out with. Maybe some of the ones on behind the scenes of how they come up with the videos and stuff on Nutrition Facts. This is one on calorie density. If weight loss is your primary goal, this is a really good one by dietitian Jeff Novick. You can watch some other inspiring ones. Dr. Stancic, she put her multiple sclerosis in remission with a whole food plant-based diet and lifestyle medicine changes. Forks Over Knives is a good documentary if you haven't watched it yet. Dr. Clapper, as Charlie mentioned, has a really good TED talk about food as medicine. He gives this talk to medical schools. This was one on heart disease. This would be one, anyone that's had heart disease, maybe is reading Dr. Esselstyn's book. This is a lecture, talks about kind of what you learn in his book. There's one on diabetes with Dr. Barnard. And then these other ones are I'll go over these in the Pioneers class we'll do at some point. Some of our mentors, and actually these were Dr. McDougall's mentors, Dr. McDougall, who just died, who we were talking about. These are some of his mentors. But yeah, there's a lot of good videos. Again, you can watch the tutorial. We have other books and other resources and cookbook recommendations. And then of course, all the recorded classes are here under the complete class archives. If you click here, here's the link to the complete archives. You can just go here, click on the list of videos, and then it goes in reverse order. Here's our class last week, and then it goes in reverse order. And if you are newer to the classes, you can go back to the beginning of the year, and you'll see here back at the beginning, this was, so it says 6 months ago, introduction class, my introduction class, Charlie's introduction class, classes on meal preparation and planning, a couple classes on weight management, food addiction and behavior change. Then we had a section on mental health, on how our foods affect our how we think and how we feel. And there's some other classes, nutritional myths, other diets, diabetes, and plant-based diets for pediatrics and families we have here, heart disease and stroke, high blood pressure. So you can see there's just a various amount of topics, and we periodically do these open forums like we did tonight, just to kind of give you guys a chance to just focus on questions that you have and things that you're wondering about. But we do have more formal presentations with PowerPoints and things too throughout. So yeah, definitely check out the tutorial to get the full tour on it, and definitely sign up for the class newsletter, which is there. I should have showed you that. It's up here on the top of the homepage. You can subscribe to the weekly class newsletter here. Click on that, and then you can fill in your email, first and last name, subscribe, and you'll receive a welcome newsletter right away. And then every Sunday morning you'll receive a newsletter, and that has lots of information in it about the upcoming class, the Facebook group, the book club, the free health coaching with Lisa, then a little bit about our nonprofit, Eugene Plant-Based Providers, and all the different events that we have. And so there's just a lot a lot of resources you guys can plug into and get support. Hope that was
Thanks.
helpful.
Yeah, that was great. Someone asked about, is sleeping most of the time one of the stages of dementia? I don't know if it's a stage of dementia, sleeping. I think that there's a certain number of people who have dementia who spend quite a bit of time sleeping. I've never really given that a whole lot of thought. I'd say it would be a normal thing to happen.
Sleep disturbances are common with dementia. So whether you are restless and don't sleep as much or sleep more, so sleep disturbances is kind of associated. And then also depression, because whether you have clinical depression or your people with dementia also are more likely to be depressed, and so they will often sleep longer because of that. So it's definitely, any kind of changes in sleep patterns is good to discuss with your provider to find out what's the root cause of that.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, Yolanda and then Trouty.
I know we've talked about, and we've briefly mentioned meditation before, but do either of you have a specific YouTube meditation video that you use to do your meditation?
Lisa, do you want to chime in? I know she uses it.
My wife uses Calm, while Lisa it's an app you can buy, but go ahead, Lisa.
I was going to say the same thing. I use Calm because I have Kaiser insurance and they pay for it. So sometimes your insurance will reimburse for programs like that. And then a free one is called Smiling Mind. That's an app from Australia. And so it's kind of fun. They all have Australian accents for their meditations. And Headspace is also a good one that you can get a free trial, I believe, but then you have to pay eventually unless your health insurance covers it.
I never thought that about checking with insurance. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, just ask a student whenever you need to know about deals.
I
That's
just
funny.
found out that I could get new glasses every year with my new insurance.
Yeah. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Trouty.
I was wondering how long does it take once you had a bad food intake that you're not supposed to have, let's say margarine and all kinds of fat and bacon grease and what else? How long does it take to get out of your system?
Different for different people, Trouty. I must say, it's kind of interesting. You might say, eating meat one time or a couple times a month, a few times a month, would that make a difference? Well, the studies show, yeah, it makes a difference. You're in an overweight group. Well, how long did it last for you to have that one meal with animal, meat in it of some sort? It can affect your hormones and how your body reacts, sometimes hours, sometimes days. We don't have science to the point where we can clearly define that. The bottom line is, if you are feeling healthy and you want to eat how you want to eat, that's your choice. If you want to maximize your likelihood of being healthy and staying healthy, you make healthy choices and you very much minimize those unhealthy choices. And to me, I no longer eat ice cream, even though it's high fat and high sugar and it tastes really good. My mouth waters when I talk about it, but I no longer eat it because I don't want to torture myself. It's really like torture when you eat foods that you know are unhealthy. So if you choose to do that for yourself, you can do it. There's no policeman, no one's going to give you tickets or berate you, except maybe your doctor, if they're practicing under the old mode of I'm the expert and you listen to me and do as I say, not as I do. But the reality is you get to make these choices and, you have a goal. You know what you want in life. Ask yourself every time you reach for that food, is this going to help me reach that goal? And if your answer is no, then you ask yourself, why am I choosing this? Shouldn't I be choosing something else? And you say, I'm choosing it because I like the taste. Well, do you like the taste more than the potential side effect of what you're going to be eating there? And maybe you're asking me, what are the side effects? How do you define it? I can't give you a definite answer on that, unfortunately.
I was wondering, as a child, I grew up with margarine, and later on, and late teenage years, the bacon grease. How long does it take to get out of your system?
Well, smoking, I think Scott has some statistics about, if you've been a long-term smoker and you stop, how long it takes you to recover from that. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's 15 years. So once you have stopped smoking for 15 years, your lifetime risk of lung cancer is the same as a lifelong non-smoker. So it takes 15 years for that. But so they use that as an example. But as you know, you remember from Eric's talk a few weeks back on plant-based diets for pediatrics and families that they've looked at the carotid arteries and the aorta in the chest of embryos of actual fetuses in utero, and they already have fatty streaks in their arteries based on what their mom is eating. So heart disease starts before you're even born. So if we, you don't want that process to continue. So heart disease starts in as soon as you're alive. And so it's a, and so it's the number one cause of death. So we're all in different stages of heart disease. And so It's just what do you want to do to help reverse the situation and not let it progress further. So another good example with your question, Trouty, I think is the blue zone population. So they ate some foods that weren't so healthy off and on throughout, 90 to 95% of their diet is whole food plant-based, the way we're teaching here. And they ate that way their entire lives. And so they don't tend to develop things like diabetes or heart disease or cancer or dementia and things, but they also have other healthy lifestyle behaviors. But most of the people that are sitting in this room and all the patients that Charlie and I see already have pretty significant heart disease. They're on medications, they have diabetes, they're already sick. And so to be able to reverse those conditions, you have to be a little more strict to reverse the condition as opposed to just preventing it from occurring. And so that's always a good analogy to be thinking about. So yeah, like Charlie said, we don't have the science as to how long it takes to reverse the damage done by, how many times you ate margarine or bacon grease or whatever that is. And like Charlie said too, some people eat that way their whole lives and they still live to 99 and before they die. So we're talking statistics and on a population scale here that we're just trying to play the odds as to what's going to bring us the best health and keep us feeling good. And so yeah, it's just a choice you get to make every day. With every meal, every bite, it's a lost opportunity to eat something that would have been healthier every time you choose something that's maybe not health promoting.
And Trouty, I have one more thing to add that I thought about while Scott was talking, and that's the studies by Ornish and Esselstyn.
Yeah.
The two studies that show actual reversal of heart disease, and those people reversed their heart disease, and I believe it was 1 to 3 years it took to partially unclog their arteries. So you can do this pretty rapidly. Gregor's studies on diabetes, where people have been diabetic for years, and in less than a
2
couple
weeks.
weeks, their diabetes seems to be gone, off of insulin and off of medicine. So you can have dramatic effects pretty quickly, or you may not have any effects. It just eat healthy, bottom line.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, what else? Man, this has gone by. We managed to make it through another session. It's 8:30 already.
All right. Well, hope to see some of you, as many of you as possible, on Friday at the Grange, or maybe go ahead and click this same link you got into tonight and on Friday, and let us know how it goes on Friday to see if you guys could hear it okay and felt like it was similar to what you experienced here. We'd like the feedback.
We'll come on. We'll plan for next Tuesday. Even if we don't do a presentation, maybe Lisa, you could do your presentation for sure then. I think it's worth the group hearing it. And then if we have extra time, we can do whatever Scott feels is next on the agenda too. And then we can maybe hear from the people who logged on Friday night what it was like.
And Lisa, tell me what your presentation is about. I can put that in for the topic for next week.
Mine is just sort of a bio presentation, talking about my lupus and my journey.
Oh, great.
Plant-based medicine.
Great.
And we also have the book club on Thursday.
Right, book club, and if you want to join the book club, just it's on let me share my screen here. I have the link to it on the homepage of the website here. Again, let's go back to here. Let's see, go back to the homepage. So we scroll down the homepage here, you'll see there's the Facebook group one. Here's the book club, Live Lifestyle Medicine Book Club. If you're interested in joining, send an email that's Lisa's email right here. So you can just click it and it'll automatically pull up an email to her and say, hey, put me on your book club list. And then you'll receive the link to the book club for Thursday night.
Thanks for doing that, Scott.
Yeah.
Okay. Other end night comes to a close. It's
I
been
have a question.
fun.
Friday, 7 o'clock?
Friday at 7 o'clock.
Okay,
The Irving Grange on Irvington, not on Irving Drive, on Irvington Drive.
I'm not gonna go. I thought it's on,
But on
Yeah.
this website, same link,
oh, okay, yeah,
Friday night. Okay.
thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks,
Night.
Good
Scott,
night.
and everybody else. Good
Thanks
night.
for coming.
Gonna see how this all recorded to the cloud
Oh yeah.
today. And hopefully I'll be able to figure that out.
Well,
We're
it's a
gonna
good one
give it
to test it out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give it a try. Okay, good night.